Welcome to the Main Stage Cast, a podcast about all things competitive Call of Duty, hosted by me, Nate Burleson, alongside Alex Friel. In today's episode, we got some decent things to go over. We're kind of in the midst of a champs race, a champs seeding race, not between like the top 7 teams. They're all kind of separated from the bottom 4, bottom 5 teams, and they're all kind of competing for one spot. There's going to maybe be some roster changes upcoming because some of these teams are going to have to deal with that and try to figure out what they need to do to get into champs, because it's going to be kind of tough to be out of the money this year. But we also got to talk about stage 3 week 1. We had the what home series was it? Like, it doesn't
also the Hook move was after we recorded last week, correct?
Correct.
So
the Hook
yeah,
move was after we recorded. We do have to talk about that.
Interesting week,
mm-hmm.
to say the least.
Mm-hmm. But like, we got Optic looking sharp. We got Ultra still hot. NYSL
sharp like TK. You feel me?
Maganda. NYSL might be a top 3 team in the league. Could they be? Could they be a top team? Could they win a major? I think it could really look like that. They beat FaZe last weekend. We also got to talk about quick expansion discussion. A lot of people have been talking about expansion. I've seen some Reddit posts, people saying that like, oh, this, look at all these great players and challengers. We need expansion. Like, then there was contestant and arguments. How many teams should we have? How many teams will be added? Will they actually expand? It's interesting, but we're also going to get into our predictions for Stage 3 Week 2. But, Alex, what did you take away from the last week?
The last week, we had some good matches. I enjoyed mostly the. I think that the 2 best ones were, obviously besides Optic matches, because those are always the best ones. Interestingly, the subliners reverse sweep on FaZe. That was a really good one. I think Ultra vs Empire was a really interesting one, a very telling match.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually enjoyed watching Thieves against Seattle. Seattle went up 2-0. Those 3 matches were like the most interesting to me and had like the most like depth.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be gutted for Seattle, right? Like, they're going to be one of the teams that we're talking about, and like when we talk about the bottom 5 teams, but like, I mean, they're so close to putting it together. They're so close to being a top 6 team.
Dude, honestly, how many like round 11s, game 5s have they like lost now? It's like there's so many
like
times
4
where
or 5, I feel like, right?
Dude, like, I remember there was that really good match where it was them versus Empire, and they like had that game 5 on Express, and it literally came down to like the last round. Like, I just think that like Seattle just has these like great matches, and they just for some reason just never close it out. And it's like it's not even like something you can really like go back and fix, right? Like, it just comes down to like random plays for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, like, they have another match coming up this week. Again, it's against New York, right? So like, you kind of struggle through the first for the first like weekend. You kind of get a heartbreaking loss going on, and then now you have to play one of the hottest teams in the game in New York, who just beat FaZe. Like, I mean, it's such an unforgiving schedule, I feel like, because like when you can play a whole tournament, you really have a lot of times to like kind of work out the kinks in your game. But when you're playing like one match this week, like the same thing with Optic, they're only playing one match this week. Like, it's just tough to like really mentally prepare yourself for like a potential 5-game series, like an hour and a half of like a game. It's different from the NFL where you see like 1 week and everyone gets hyped for one match because your body hurts the next day. You can only play one match a week, but these players are so used to playing like series after series after series that like putting up one series like as a regular season game and putting it up on like that pedestal, I feel like the players are still kind of getting used to that. What do you think?
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. I think every match, like, it's like it comes down to it at the end of the day, like, you're not just playing for like the seeding of the stage, right? Like, if Seattle like takes one loss, it's like, all right. If it was like just the stage, and it's like, all right, bounce back. But like, all of these are adding up to like your points for like qualifying for champs, and we're getting like so far into the season. Like, Seattle's down there with like that group that's close and could be interchangeable. Like, if one team just starts making a run, they could jump like right over other teams. So I think it'll be interesting to like see, because I don't think they're gonna make a move. I don't see them making a move all year. Like, if they were gonna make a move, they probably would have already made it. I'm pretty sure them and Optic and FaZe are the only teams that haven't made a move.
Correct.
So if they were gonna do something, they probably would have. I don't really know what they're doing. They can win. It's just weird.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a weird thing going on right now in the league, right? Because this is the first year of like this is the first year that there's not going to be all the teams at the at champs, right? Like this is what's the prize pool this year for champs? Somewhere in like the 2 point some million dollars. Like it's a lot of money. Like there's a lot of like
Ain't no
opportunities.
4.3 5v5 CDL variant
True,
though.
true. I mean, but you got to think about how they have the majors and they're adding more money there. But like,
Yeah.
anyways, like you're looking at the standings right now, and these are I'm pretty sure these are up to date. These are on the CDL website, so they should be up to date. But it's Atlanta. This looks up to date, but weren't you saying that Rocker were a little bit higher? The CDL website has them in
I feel
seventh.
like they were.
The CDL website has them in seventh right now, but it
I
is
see
all
that
really
on Twitter, bro.
it is all really close. We might have to figure out which one of these are correct. But what I'm seeing now,
it could just be the overall standings for stage 3 that I saw or something.
Probably that might have been what you see, but
like I don't understand why they throw all the standings together for one stage when they have groups.
Right.
That's a really confusing tweet. That tweet had me thinking that was the overall standings, bro.
Oh, yeah, no, but right now, Atlanta FaZe number 1, Dallas Empire number 2, Optic Chicago number 3. Pretty much what everybody expected at this point. New York number 4, they're a bit of a surprise. Toronto at number 5. You'd think they'd be a little bit higher with how great they've been recently, but obviously at the beginning of the stage, they weren't really winning much. So that's just proof that you really have to be so consistent over the entire year to get that to get a good seed in champs, which is one of the reasons I kind of like the format. Then you have LA Thieves, Rocker, and then LAG. Or actually, before I say LAG, Rocker are at 110 points, and then LAG are at 80 points, and then from there on it goes down. So there's a 30-point gap between 7th place and 8th place. So essentially 8 through 12, so LAG, Florida, Paris, Seattle, and London are all kind of competing for one spot. Unless one of them gets really hot and starts going on a run and surpasses that 7-6 seed, these are probably the 5 teams that are going to have a shot at being the one. And I think you can almost write off London right now. I don't think you should, because they're only 20 points below and it's a little ridiculous to do it right now, but you could almost write off London with how bad they've been. But I mean, how do you
just think about who the hell is London going to beat? Bro, they've won 2 matches.
Yeah, you pretty much have to. I mean, you kind of have to hope that they can get it together, and it's not like they're getting unlucky, right? Like they have a 30, they're 17. I think their map count is their map count's 17 and 34.
All these teams have played such little amounts of matches.
Right, they played 14 matches in almost 2 months, 2 months and some change.
Yeah, dude.
It's that's so slow. It's just you don't get the reps, and then if you get knocked out in the first round of
how is it? The thing is, bro, and they all talk about it, the difference between Formal talks about this, and they say it applies to S&D the most, but it definitely applies to respawns and just anything in general, right? They're not getting enough reps. The practice they're getting outside of an actual match, it's not gonna they got on the servers or whatever, but the actual the game, it just plays differently when it's a match or a tournament. And it's the fact that London and Seattle and Paris, they're getting such little opportunities to even play, right? It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at even Minnesota, who's climbing the ranks, they've still only played 15 matches.
Right.
Every team above them has at least 2 more matches in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see, what's the team with the most matches? Empire,
probably FaZe or Empire, right?
FaZe haven't really played much because they're missing out on. They've been the first seed, so they've been missing out on all those matches.
Empire's played 20. I think.
21,
oh wait, no, Ultra's played 21. Yeah, well, because Ultra had that run.
Right, from
they played 6 matches or something in the tourney.
Yeah, and I mean,
crazy.
If you just look at the winning percentages too, you can just kind of see how it all just falls right off the cliff after LA Thieves. Actually, I mean, Minnesota just started so bad. They've been a consistent top 4, top 5 team since they picked up Standy, but I mean, they started off so bad that they still only have they're still only 7 and 8 in their overall matches.
Yeah, but I would say that I have a good feeling they'll climb, but I mean, if you just look at FaZe,
right,
New York, Ultra, and Thieves all look really good right now. So
no, I mean,
I think Minnesota may be that 6th team, kind of tied with Empire there for me.
Yeah, and I mean, Empire has built their own big kind of lead. I mean, they still because you only get 10 points for
subliners and above, those guys. I mean, even Chicago and above, those guys are almost just secured their spots.
Right.
They're
well, in Chicago,
you have to win 10 matches if you're a lower team to even try to catch up.
And the thing about Optic is that they've gotten most of those through They got most of
the
their
league
points like through
matches
like league matches because FaZe obviously have so many. I mean, they were great in league
from
matches,
like
right?
winning an
But
event.
like
Yeah.
Empire have 12 map wins, have 12 match wins as well. Ultra also have 12 match wins, but Ultra is 15 points below. Empire is 30 points above Optic. So it's all about like, and Optic just really hasn't had like a good showing at either of the two majors. So if they can get a good showing at one of those majors, I think they'll end up in the second seed by the end of
Yeah.
the major. I just think that's how it's going to work out. We don't really know what's going to happen with Dallas because they're playing with a completely new player. Like, do you think we'll see that change, like possibly reverted if they do start playing bad, or do you think this is something where like they're like, no, like we're not playing with Luke anymore because of like,
I
reasons
don't
that have more than
think that like. Well, I mean, the thing is like, why would you revert back to something that you've already deemed clearly does not
Yeah.
work, right? Like,
Well, yeah.
even if the fellow move works less, like, there's no way that you can just go back to Hook and he's gonna be happy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that like everyone would just be able to continue to get back to what they were. Obviously, like, I mean, in Major One, like they looked really good, and then they just literally couldn't close out anything against FaZe, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it's like I feel like that's like almost their peak for this season already, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
don't really know that like Fellow elevates them, and I also feel like their gameplay, their map selection, like if you were playing like a Garrison against them at the beginning of the game, like Shotsy was sliding all over you, you know, like they that was like their best map,
Mm-hmm.
and they looked really
Crim is
good. But
playing
now
well.
like they've just like and Crim's still playing good.
Crim's been their best player, at least in terms of skill and consistency.
I think Crim and Hoop were their best players. Like
Mm-hmm.
Crim has always just been the most consistent though.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna be the one dropping like the big numbers like Hook and Shotsy, but like he just plays well all the time and
Mhm.
clearly like understands how to play.
Right.
But like with the current map pool and just like the meta and other teams catching up, like it just doesn't seem like they're gonna be able to get to a level that they
Mhm.
were at before.
Yeah, and I mean Illy also is like he's also kind of like that player who's like great. He's like great, but not like not like elite, not like that like top like thing where you think about like cracked. Cracked, I guess is a good word for it. But I mean Illy's a great player, but like he hasn't shown enough that like people, you know what I mean? Like people weren't like, oh, drop it. Why not drop Illy? You know, like people weren't even saying like that. People were just like, oh, they didn't need a change.
Yeah, like they'll figure it out eventually.
I mean,
you know,
I trust Krim. I trust the 30-sometime champion. I trust the like
The
winningest
winningest
player
player
of all
in-
time.
yeah,
The greatest,
I mean-
my goat. So
most earnings like.
that's my. I mean,
Yeah, there's
I'll trust
like,
them. I'll wait this out.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's like, it's a bad mentality to like completely chalk this year and like anything can happen, so you just gotta like tough through it mentally. But I feel like that's just probably so tough to do with like how little games there are. So think about it, like they'll play like if Optic plays Sunday and loses, like they're just gonna spend like the weekend like getting hyped up about it. If they lose, then they spend like the next week just getting like shit on and talking about their loss and focusing on all the negatives. Like it's definitely tough, but I think if anyone can like tough through that mental kind of stuff, it's definitely like an Empire team with Cram who's going to be like block out all the haters, you know?
Right, and like Crim can prove that, but like I think the thing people don't like realize is that like there must have been some issue that had nothing to do with on game performance. Like obviously, like that. I mean, I feel like they aren't really doing a good job of hiding that fact that like I feel like something was wrong just like in their comps. Like they weren't getting along, right? That's what I think happened. We can't make too many assumptions.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we have like no
along.
idea. I mean, the only thing any of them said about it, Krim said, look at the mini map and it tells the whole story. Like, I don't know if like.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have said
it could
that.
just maybe think like Krim thinks like moving Fellow in and then moving Illy to that role like could make them play better overall. Because it's like if they took Illy out and moved Fellow in, like you know they may not be playing like the same like how like Krim wants them to, or like maybe he just thought that was like the best fit, or like you know maybe like because I don't really think that it would be like a personal thing. Like I feel like that'd be so weird, right? Like
let me
throw. I mean, we've seen like their little content videos and like Krim's riding around like go kart at the MV place. Like they look like they were chilling.
Mm-hmm. I know. I mean,
like,
I'm sure that's that.
I'm glad Fellow's getting a shot, but like, I don't know. It's definitely just
been
a
around
weird,
for
shocking move, especially with how
know.
good Hook has been this season. Like, I honestly thought he was like he probably has like top 5 S&D stats. I'm assuming like because he was like the best player sitting in cruddy corners and
we had one of the best KDs for a decent amount of time. I'm not sure if that changed.
He probably still does, honestly.
I bet he still is like top 10 if he's not top 5. But like.
So I mean, obviously, KD doesn't mean everything, but he did seem like he was getting a lot of kills for them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think he just generally like a player that other teams are scared of in a way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He's a player who other teams have to game plan around, and
Yeah.
I think he'll land on his feet. Like he'll be back on our COD team at least next year. Like if
He's
it
too
really
good
doesn't
not to
work
be on a
out,
team. Unless he wants to
yeah.
switch esports, he'll be back on a team.
If he wants to go play Halo, what if he
Bro,
wants
this
to go
man
play
Sheen
Halo?
has the highest KD right now, bro.
Yeah, he played like one match. I feel like Breaking Point. Like if they, I know none of them would be listening to this, but I'm like, guys, make a minimum, you know? Because like every time one of these
Yeah,
new
like,
guys comes
I
in,
don't know
like
why Sheen should
you
be
know,
like.
like he's all over it. Like people want
Yeah,
to read the
Hydra's
stats. Like
Hydra's got like the sixth best right now.
pretty sure, like yeah, because like when Insight had the Insight, like after his first weekend, they're like, wow, look at him with like an 8.6 S&D KD because he had like 20 kills in that, or like 19 kills in that one game. But like I don't know. They should look at those stats a little different. I feel like stats in COD really though are like kind of just like they tell like a quarter
Honestly,
of
like
the story. I think
Hook's stats, like they look pretty good. Like honestly,
right, and like people were
if you look at like hardpoint kills per 10 minutes, like he's above all these guys that are above him in KD.
Mm-hmm.
And like with like hill time, he's got good. Like he's
Right.
got really good. Like I mean. Like if you go into depth and like look at all of them, like
yeah.
Hey, fellas leading in first bloods right now, 22%.
Yeah, and let's talk about wait. So Dallas, yeah, because I guess Dallas played their first match last week, right?
Yeah.
With
no, they played against Paris and 3-0'd them with Hook.
Right, and then so that means they only have one match this week, and it's against LAG. So like, what are we really? I mean, like. I feel like this might
There's
be a
not much to
close
look
match.
for.
I mean,
I feel like we won't be able to tell really what they are until we get to the major.
agreed. Until we get them in like an actual like
Because
big
like
series.
a once a weekend league match, like you're really not gonna get anything from that, right? Like they've
Mm-hmm.
been like probably scrimming all week, but like what are they gonna? It's just like kind of. I mean, it does start to feel like a glorified scrim but it is still worth 10 points. I mean, I think they'll be able to beat LAG, but LAG looks good.
I mean, yeah, LAG is looking nice. I mean,
with Money Cheen instead of Vivid, like I don't
all-
really get that move.
Mhm.
I think we didn't know Cheen was gonna be their player last time we were
True.
recording.
Yeah, and I mean, like we can dump on these moves, but like we really can't. We can dump on these moves, but we have to eat our words if we're wrong about it. So if LAG go on and fry, then we have to come on in this show and we have to say.
But the standard for frying for LAG is like I feel like the standard for frying now is like Ultra went from like we were questioning them to like the best team, right? Like if you're LAG, like if your improvement is like you win like one more match at the major, I'm not really gonna be too like.
I'm saying their improvement for me would be to be like to get out of the 5 teams that we mentioned, essentially to be like clearly
to move up and like establish themselves as like an actual team.
But I think if any of those teams are gonna do it, like I'd say it was Seattle, right? But like they're already 0-2. You know what I mean? They're already 0-2 in the league, and like
such close matches.
Oh man! And now their next match is against the Subliners. Like, so I think after that they'd play. Yeah, because that group is just like brutal. Like they'll get London, and they'll probably beat London, and then it's just gonna be like.
Well, they still have to play like New York FaZe. It's just so tough, dude.
That's rough.
And can we talk about New York versus FaZe? FaZe, I mean, they looked like so good, and then I think they just like let the gas off the brake, and like, I mean, dude, Hydra like actually makes it okay. And Mac on the AR, like, I was surprised at first, like, because when he first came out and he had a Krig, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? But Clay seems to think that he's like better at like the second AR, third SMG role, which like, all right, that works because I think playing around Hydra is going to be an important part of like letting this team succeed, right?
Yeah,
like,
he looked really comfortable.
Asim's kind of the more like objective oriented sub, like he always has been. He's making those plays for the team, and I think like the way for Hydra to be good for the team is really just do his thing. Like he was frying, he's really good. So like if that's like and like it's like that's not even kill horn, right? Like if you're just opening up like space for like a guy to like make plays and like just get those kills while like Asim and then you got Mac and Clay, and like Clay's a really fast AR making plays. Mac looked good, holding down his lanes. He's frying with the Krig. I thought they looked great. Like on Garrison, they looked really good. Like obviously in S&D they like started crushing FaZe on that map 5. It was like, what even is going on right now? So I think that like New York going forward is probably gonna be like the most exciting team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
just to like see the evolution of like Hydra with the team.
I really think this iteration of New York could be a top 3 team. I really think that they could win a major too. Like I want to see this team. Like I mean, I always want to see like the best teams play Optic because I'm still so confused on like, I mean, we can transition into Optic now. I'm so confused. Like, are they top 2? Are they top 3? Or are they just 4 or 5 gonna be like a semifinal team at best? What are they?
For me, it's like the most like day-to-day team. You know, it's like one day they'll just kind of like they always have the skill and the teamwork and like the IQ to be the best team, right? Like they never like don't have like they have everything they need. It's just some days it happens and some days it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Like, dude, Lamar getting that 3-piece, like Lord knows why Lamar got that, but like, what can they do about that? There's really nothing you can do about that.
I mean, if that doesn't happen, I'd say they have a pretty good placing at that major, right? Like,
I mean, like, because who would they have gone on to? Dude, literally, who the hell did Minnesota go to play next? Ultra, right?
Ultra. So I mean, I don't know. Who knows what could happen there? Like Ultra probably would have.
Well, yeah, but like if Optic had won that Game 5 against Rocker, like going into the next day, like that probably could have been like their first time where they felt like this is like our shot. Yeah. You know? It's like in the stage 1 major, like they beat like Thieves and like, I mean they 3-0 Thieves, but like it wasn't like it felt like they just ran through Thieves so easy, and then next they had to play New York. It was like, you know, like the way Optic just played that game against the bad Thieves team. They played bad, right? And then Optic just blew through them. And it wasn't like it was because Optic played good. Like, they were just kind of running around killing. And then, you know, Thieves are just so bad that match.
Right.
And then they played against New York, who was playing, like, discipline and playing good. And it had the way they were playing that tourney. And, like, they just got slapped, right? But, like, it's not like because they were bad. Like, they just didn't play
right. And we're
winning way.
I think we're gonna learn a lot more about like what this current state of the team is, because I mean they play LA Thieves this week, it's their only match, right? But the next week at the Dallas home series, they play New York. Yeah, they play New York, and then they play FaZe on Sunday.
Yeah,
so
and they haven't been streaming. You know, I miss watching Formals and Scum streams, but dude, they haven't streamed like nearly a month now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Which is wild. Like the only streams they've done lately are like Envoy did like a sponsored stream, and Dashy played 8s one day and had like 3K viewers, and that was
I feel like though, like once you like, I mean, I'm not hating on Optics. Obviously, they're doing this for like a competitive like standpoint. Like they're trying to like, and that's what they should. That's what their main focus should be. But I'm like, yo, all these people just sub to y'all, man. You know what I mean? Well, like stream for them. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Clay talked about this on the flank one time. He was talking about, or was it? No, it wasn't. No, I was listening. It was like Fellow was on the Scuffed podcast a while ago, right? And he was talking about like as a streamer who plays like a professional game, it's so hard because you want to like be able to put in all your time to the game.
Obviously,
and you have to also like, it's not like YouTube where like people just watch your video, right? Like Twitch is so much more like community based, routine based, where like you're gonna be on at a certain time and people want to watch you at a certain time. Like you're gonna be doing a certain thing, like you need to do that. But then if like people are subbing and it's like, you know, 1 month, like your sub count goes up, and then because like think about the beginning of the game, everyone was streaming, everyone was playing. Think about how many subs they had, and then they're probably making bank for like a month, and then they didn't want to stream anymore because that's so much work. And then it's like all their subs just go down, like no one's resubbing.
I mean,
it's hard to maintain the community.
Well, I'm pro. I'm not like I'm pro like. If you feel like you need to focus, don't stream your scrims.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm pro that. Like, I like that. I was just saying that as like, like it's surprising that they're doing that because of how much they do care about like their content and how much they do care about.
That's the
that
thing.
shows
like,
their dedication.
Hasn't posted
right?
in a while, but like, I mean, the thing is like the content's so easy for them now because Hex like just makes it where like they show up in the morning and take an hour to record the podcast and they go to their stations and
which
play.
is a part of it, which is like a part of the system.
Way. Yeah, so like they're still in all the content view of the Optic Chicago channel. You know, I get excited on Mondays. They got trivia. You know, I just got a notice for the Optic podcast came out today. I love those. It says Maniac fights TikTokers. So you know, I'm sure it'll be an interesting one. But like you know, they're still doing their thing. I do miss their like personal content.
Yeah, and like nobody gets. I mean, people do kind of get a little upset, but like nobody gets mad at other teams
like,
for not streaming
I think as a real
scrims.
fan, like I understand, right?
Exactly. If you sub to them, it means that you care about like the team and you care about them. So you want them to be the best team they can be. And I think that's the point.
And it's funny because like honestly, I feel like anyone who's like mad, like if like Scum's not streaming or posting, and they're like mad, like they're taking like Scum's greatness for like they're just what is the term I'm trying to
For
say?
granted?
They're taking it for granted,
Yeah.
right? Like, because I remember back in the day, like we all we saw was like they posted a YouTube video where at the beginning they're like, "Hey guys," and they're like in their room, they're like, "Here's a scrim from like against FaZe this week," right? And that was like all we got. Like the fact that like we can like watch scrims real time now, like streamers, like the game has changed, right? And
Hey,
it's like,
we did have MLG Pro scrims back in the day.
hey, we had MLG Pro scrims back in
Shout out
BO2 on
Puckett,
like
shout out
Wednesdays or
Remy,
like
shout
on
out-
weekdays. You know?
Shout out Benson.
You know, I think that if like people are like genuinely mad, like, oh my god, I need the scum content. Like, bro, he's been working his ass off, right?
Yeah, I want to see them.
They used to be
succeed.
putting out mad content and not even like they used to be working on YouTube all the
Optic?
time and
Mhm.
scrimming, bro. Like,
Right.
come on, bro. They don't
Optic,
put their
like-
work in.
Optic have either been like the Warriors or the Knicks in their
Yeah.
like in their overall like
Bro,
time.
Dude,
Like they right now they're the Knicks, but they
When
can
I
be the
got-
Warriors again.
when I got Optic Scuff, like they were like the Bobcats at the time.
Well,
know?
yeah, like they
Like,
were.
and yeah, back in because I had an Xbox 360 Scuff, like BO2 era, like.
Mhm.
Like, and I loved them even though they were bad. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't matter to me.
I mean, they were
you know?
they were top like 5, 6, top 7. You know what I mean? Like
Well, in
Everyone-
BO2,
they're-
if you weren't
they had some
complexity
crazy-
or Farico, you were bad.
True, I mean,
Honestly.
yeah,
If you
true-
went those
true
two
in a
teams,
way,
you literally
yeah.
had no shot of winning a tournament,
mhm.
bro.
There was some
Dude,
good.
because
Yeah, there was some
I
other good
remember,
teams.
like, at the
Unite,
beginning, like, if
FaZe,
you
yeah.
weren't Farico, you were bad, right? Like,
Fair, yeah.
you weren't Karma, you weren't Killy, you weren't Mir, you weren't Haggy. And then complexity, it was really like, who's going to beat them? Like,
Right.
who's going to outgun Clay? Who's
Yeah.
going to outgun
And I mean, there was some
who's going to
nasty.
outgun
Like,
Aches or Crim? Like,
there was
that's
some.
such a
There
go-to
were like a
team.
bunch of. I think another thing in BO2 is that if we saw like a little bit more movement, like between some of the teams, we could have had a. I think we probably could have made a team that could like competed
Yeah.
a little bit harder against complexity. I think just people were so kind of like content with the teams they had that it wasn't like let's
Well, and
break
you
it
don't-
all up
you
to go
don't-
try
you
to
don't-
beat
I
complexity.
mean, I feel
That
like
would be
back in the
kinda
day it was
crazy.
like tougher to risk like a roster spot because like what if you got yourself off a top team trying to like finesse and
right.
then like they had to like play for that money like that was everything. There's no
Yeah.
salaries, like they had to be on a good team
Mhm.
for placing. So like you're like placing top 3, top 4 every time. You probably didn't really care.
Right. And that's why the like dropping the bottom 4 out of champs is cool. That's what makes the league matches good. I mean, obviously like you think it's down. You probably you're down on it. 'cause you
I think
everyone
it's
should go.
anti-org. I think it's so bad for the orgs. Like
not everybody should make the playoffs.
okay,
I don't think it should. Not.
all right.
you know
So
what I mean?
what is the difference between not having them in and giving them a match to lose? Like what's the difference between that?
Okay. That's fair. That's a fair point.
Right,
it's
like at
just
the major, like you were asked for the past 5 matches. All right, you're
But
in
if you're asked
elimination
for
round
but
1.
if you're asked for the whole season, why should you be at champs? It's like a.
Why
it's like, yes, it's
did they even
anti-org,
spend
but it's
$25 million
anti-bad.
to be in the league then?
It's anti-bad org. It's anti-bad team. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
these teams
but the
are.
different.
like, I
okay,
don't
but
wanna
the thing
see
is
them
like
at,
the thing is like, all right, I understand when you have like 30 teams in the NFL, like it's the playoffs, like like whatever 14 teams make it now, like
Mhm.
all right, like but they also have been around for like 100 years,
Fair.
like in the second year, and especially after they were going to do that last
People
year,
have
right?
plenty
In a
of
really
time
bad,
to get.
you know,
to be
such
good.
a bad format. They were going to do top 8 teams last year, right? And then because of online, they switched it.
Well,
I
that's
still think
new,
it should
yeah.
be all 12 teams. I think it's like, I just think it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I'd rather be given like a match to just lose, and at least like be able to go to champs. Like
okay, what if like what
dude,
if, like a playing
yeah,
kind of
honestly,
thing?
dude, like,
What
when
about
when
a
I say
playing
it out
kind of
loud,
thing?
nah. When I say it out loud, bro, it literally just sounds so dumb. Like it literally sounds so dumb that like it's like
Nah, it doesn't.
teams invested a bro. Come
They
on,
invested the money, but doesn't mean they have a good
listen,
team.
Listen.
You know what I mean?
But okay, but right, yeah, you're right, bro. London
But-
should just go sign Scump, bro.
Well,
Just
I'm saying
sign
like
Hoop.
I'm saying that
Bro,
they.
you really sound like one of those Andys right now. Hold on,
No,
let me speak.
no.
Put yourself in the shoes of an owner, like the owner of London, right? You
Mhm.
paid $30 million, and you tried your best to get the team you could, and then there's online, and you have to move players,
That's like
and,
the worst
and then
case
players,
scenario.
and then player. Okay, right, but there's
London's
only 12
saying-
cases. There's
What
only
about
12
Seattle?
cases for
They
any
built
team
their
in the
own
league.
team, and they're terrible, and they're not good enough to be a champs. I
Oh,
think
you're
that's
right.
how
They
it
should just
works.
go sign Scum, bro.
No,
like,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they built a team that was terrible. Why should they be rewarded with a champ spot? Why should they be rewarded with
Bro.
the chance to be good to make a champs run if they
You know
were
what?
terrible all year?
Right. By your logic, honestly, let's just have the top 4 teams then, right? Like,
No, we
like,
need
they're
the
bad
top
enough,
8.
They don't have a
is
shot
good.
to win.
The top 8 is good.
Okay,
There needs to be a
okay,
cutoff point
okay,
somewhere,
Okay,
and
dude.
eight's a good thing.
Okay.
Here's ideally though, we'd have an expanded league and it would actually make sense for some of the teams.
Yeah, and then they could
Ideally.
just let less teams go to champs and waste more people's money.
So when we go to 16, if we were to go to 16 teams, we talk about expansion. Like if we were to go to 16 teams, do you think all 16 should be at champs?
No, I don't think we should go to 16 teams yet.
You don't think? Okay, you don't think they should after this year?
I don't think they should after this year or the next year. Honestly,
I do agree.
Like you need. I feel like if you're only pulling 30K for like Dallas versus Paris, why would you add another team?
It would get oversaturated, I think. I agree.
Because you're dividing the fan base. You're not bringing in new people like by just making another team in a named location, right? Like, I just think that's so like. All right, obviously, like, yeah, like the players and challengers that deserve a spot, they need to get it. Like, it's unfortunate that there's only so many spots in the league, but like for the better of the league, it would be bad for them to try to put more money in it, more millions that are just going to get burned and torched to have a team in Spain.
And the founding members are splitting the money even more now. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, the owners are probably anti-expansion right now because they want to. They like if you think about it, like Valorant, like they haven't had a LAN, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and they'll have a league.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to succeed.
Right.
They'll
have a league. They'll have a league format.
You don't even know, like with the Call of Duty League that's like young and it's like ever changing because they just have no clue what the hell they want to do. It's not like we had a perfect format called the CWL before anything, right? Like we never had a format that was good prior to the CDL. Format. So obviously they're just doing all these random things trying to figure it out. So you know, but like I just think that like telling 4 multi-million-dollar teams that probably aren't even profiting this year because there's no lands and they're probably not even selling out all their merch, probably losing money on like literally everything, right? Like esports, like you can read about it, it's one of like the worst investments. Like the only teams that are probably actually making money are like the FaZe, the Optics, the 100.
Well, the Overwatch League is a complete money pit. If you bought into the Overwatch League, like you might as well just burn the money at that point. You know what I mean? Like you might as well burn the money.
I think the difference is that like Overwatch is like this game that they just made and people were like new to the game and they just tried to like force the culture of a league in a new game that didn't have like any love or passion prior. Like when the CDL was
and the viewership,
like they knew that people were gonna go from like Call of Duty A to Call of Duty B, even if it was the CDL. Like with Overwatch, like cares?
Right. Well, another thing about Overwatch League is that they had a decently successful first season. You know, like they had a good amount of viewers, and then every year from there it just went.
Well, no, because I remember that. I remember that with the San Francisco Shock winning. Like,
yeah, I feel like with the CDL we can go from like here to here. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the CDL can grow. I think it's a little bit different from the Overwatch League, but I think expansion. I think it would be like. I think it would be like. I think
it'd be detrimental to anyone trying to come into the league. I think it'd be detrimental to the teams that don't already have like dedicated fan bases.
My one idea,
they should dedicate everything to helping the teams that are in the league now before they add new ones. All right, go.
My one idea is to pour more money into challengers, not by setting up some kind of thing where every team has their own challengers team, but like making the prize pools bigger.
Worth something.
Making the prize pools a little bit bigger.
Yeah, they're literally playing 2Ks. They're literally playing 2Ks.
Yeah, like wasn't the elite like 10K? Like the big elite thing was like 10K or like 50K?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was literally like all of what Western won in like the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'd like to see them put a little bit more money towards those prize pools, like to a point where like people can like not. You don't have to like make it so people can make a living off of amateur Call of Duty, but you should make it so people can make like a decent amount of money or like prop it up a little bit more, advertise it, help the players build their brands.
You want to provide like a pathway, right? Like you even brought it. You texted me the other day, and I think it was literally yesterday. And you were like, "What is your like thoughts on like an academy league?" And I feel like that even like more gatekeeps like people from like coming in and like being able to like actually make a name and like move up in the scene.
Also,
like I feel like they're just trying to make it more like gatekept.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Also, are there
and S&D is dead, so how are people even supposed to come up in that? Right?
That's another thing. S&D, the switch to PC, I don't think it's talked about enough for like how detrimental it was to the S&D scene. The switch to PC killed the S&D scene. I won't even sugarcoat it. Like it killed the S&D scene.
Yeah, when they tweet Chows nowadays, like they'll have to tweet like PC enabled. Like,
yeah, or console only. Like console only, man. I'm not playing you.
It's crazy that like, dude. Bro, alright. MW2 was like the last time like people cheated when like the game was actually out, right? Like BO2, like people cheat now, but like I never really got cheated on like when the game was out, right? Like now
Right.
you literally go on VO2 and it's all just like people aimbotting and shit. It's hilarious. But I think like I don't know, man. Like this is just funny. Like the fact that there can be like hacking and like competitive and like people are trying to play like S&D tourneys and they're getting like hacked even in challengers, bro. Like I mean,
Mhm.
anyone who's cheating, like they're never gonna get picked up. They're gonna get called out. They're not gonna make it to the league. It doesn't really help anybody. Like no one. Like I don't think anyone in the league is cheating. There's a lot of
No,
people
what
who were
the?
like trying to say that at the beginning of the year, and honestly,
Oh,
like,
like Big Wake. Everyone's saying that Wake was cheating.
bro,
Oh, that's
I think
ridiculous.
people need to understand that they're just not as good as they think they are.
It
Right? Like when
happens in
League
every
Play first
esport.
came out, everyone, no, I'm not in Diamond, bro, or I'm not
Yeah.
in Master. But I think the system's got to be wrong. Right?
Dude, but I'm
I got the green one.
trying.
I got expert, and I was like, you know what? I probably am expert. The next week I got advanced.
Yeah.
I'm like, I probably played advanced. Like if it's gonna put me in that, like whatever. You know, I just
Yeah.
played to have fun. I mean, it's not really your rank's not even worth anything really.
Right.
So,
And you get a new one every
but
3 days.
people really were saying that like they were like, dude, the system's like wrong. Like I should. It's like, bro, should everyone be in Masters? It's on the COD subreddit, like the COD subreddit.
See,
Like, I'm
like
so confused.
every
But, like the SBMM, bro, they're all like, bro, I'm playing against Scump
yeah.
every game, bro. You're just ass. Like if you're getting shit on that bad every game, you gotta stop blaming the game at some point.
They're
You
like,
gotta take
man, in other
accountability.
Call of Duties, I had a 3.4, and this one I'm struggling to get it above a 1.4. Maybe you're washed.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
Like,
you can't. Maybe you don't have the skills anymore.
bro, that it's like, bro, you can't slide cancel. Bro. I'll be beat hopping on your ass. You feel me?
Hey, you don't need to slide cancel. I don't even know how to slide cancel. To be honest. And I'm
Yeah.
you know, I'm an elite. I'm not trying to be a top AM. I'm good enough to at least just.
Hey man, I
be
played
an
the
elite.
homies be a fun. Hey, we're planning on playing in Challenger soon.
Yeah. Yeah, we're putting together a
yeah,
squad.
As for this weekend though, I'll probably only be watching one match on Sunday. Actually, I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm gonna try to like catch more than just the Optic match.
Yeah.
But let's go see. I'm gonna pick my match of the week right now. I'm gonna make it not the Optic one.
Mm-hmm. The
I'm gonna start
non-optic
doing
match
that. You
of
know
the
what? I'm
week.
gonna start doing that.
The non-optic match of the week. Mm-hmm.
The non-Optic match of the week, dude. I like that. All right, drum roll, please. All right. I'm going with Ultra vs Rocker.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good pick. That's a
Ultra
good
vs
pick.
Rocker, bro. It's before the marquee game fuel match,
Mhm.
so it's like its own kind of sponsor. It's
Yeah.
sponsored by the main stage.
That's gonna be a good match. I'd almost say it's the first.
I think
Like-
that's like two really good S&D teams. Like obviously Ultra just looks insane at everything. I actually have 3-2 Rocker. Wow, I'm kind of ballsy. I'm not even gonna touch it. I'm not touching it.
I like that. I got 3-2 Ultra. I think that's gonna be a tight series. We're gonna get a game 5. We're gonna get a round 10.
Yeah,
round
100%.
11.
We're getting a game 5. That series
Yeah.
is going all the
I
way.
mean-
I'd be surprised if it doesn't.
Because what I think Toronto would probably. My guess is like it's so weird because like I feel like either team could win. Like it's one of those series where it could be like a 3-1 or a 3-0 and also be like a 3-2. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when the two teams are so close, like there's no like they're not gonna win the S&D. They're not an S&D team. They don't win S&D, so like they're gonna
Yeah.
win the hard point. It's not like that. These two teams are pretty like evenly matched up in that sense of like what they're good at.
Right now,
things they
Ultra's
do.
playing insane, but like I do think Rocker could play to their level if everyone
Mhm.
plays good. Because honestly,
Yeah.
Priest has looked so good with that AR. Accuracy's been pretty good. Attach,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, he's gross at this game.
He has been
Game's
playing a lot
nasty.
better in the past few
So,
weeks. Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean that's one I'm really excited for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just looking at like Thursday, like New York versus London, I think it would be a quick 3-0. FaZe versus LA Thieves,
That
is
one
more
stands out.
contingent.
That one's gonna be good.
That's
but
more contingent on what LA Thieves team shows up, because FaZe is going to be coming for Ryan.
Ooh, no,
So what LA
I
Thieves-
think it's contingent on
Really?
FaZe. Like I feel like
Hmm.
dude. Okay, this is how. All right, I've been watching the Thieves content. I've been watching, bro. I feel like they're a team that like, if they go like 3-2 in the week, they're not gonna sweat it going into the major, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like they're really like that one team that like, with their current roster, can take it from match to match. Because like
Mhm.
Venom and Draza, like they're not used to like like being on top and like win. Like they've and like Kenny, he had to fight some battles on TK back in the day and with the 100 Thieves. Like
Mhm.
they've made some crazy runs. Like I think that they're a team. It's like they're in the middle of the pack. Like in the major, it's not gonna matter. So I think it depends on like if FaZe wants to come out and be
Well,
like
yeah.
we're the same team, or if like they're still going with the motions
Well,
like they did against New York.
I'm just confident that FaZe will show up well, so that's why I'm saying it's contingent on what LA Thieves team shows up. I'm just super confident that FaZe will bounce back. Our city's got smoked last week, man. He got smoked by
He didn't play
Clay.
good at all.
So he'll have to step up, and he has another guy who might try to smoke him himself. That's Kenny. So like that's gonna be a tough match.
Kenny like honestly has looked like the best Craig too. Like not gonna lie,
definitely one of the best.
Crying with that shit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like
people were like, "Oh, why make him the main AR? Because he's nasty. That's why he's the main AR."
Yeah, he's good as hell. I've been saying this since the beginning of the game, bro.
So I got FaZe in a 3. I got FaZe in a 3-2. So, but Ultra LAG.
Oh shit! I wasn't recording it on Destiny.
Don't worry about it. We'll take the.
God damn it! I literally opened and test recorded. That's such a shame.
I'll see what I can pull out of it. But Ultra 3, I got Ultra in a 3 over LAG. Should be quick. And then as far as the Rocker versus Paris match goes, I'll take Rocker at a 3-0. That's the thing. I have 3 straight 3-0s because FaZe plays London the next day. So I have 3 straight 3-0s. And then Dallas versus LAG, I think we'll go to game 5.
I'm pretty sure I have that one at game 5 as well.
And I think LAG is honestly I think they could be a solid team. I think they could be a solid team with Sheen. Beating Dallas, I think would need to. It's not that they need to beat Dallas. It's just like it would be huge.
You need to start pulling out some wins, though.
Yeah, right. Because like rolling, if you're gonna
they won, but like you need to like keep on going.
You can't roll over against any top team in this league. And in a 12-team league, you can't roll over against anyone. You can't be like, oh, well, it was FaZe. You know, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was Dallas. Because then next thing you know, you're gonna say, oh, it was Optic. Oh, Minnesota.
Yeah, like instead of like taking accountability for yourself, you're just saying, oh, we just could not play them. Like that's the worst mentality.
Not,
like, you know what? That's why Classic, one of my favorite players, because he does not care, bro. He does not get phased by a better team. He will go out there and try his hardest no matter who he's playing.
Right, he's been around the block. Classic. He's been around the block too many times to be.
He don't give a shit, bro. He used to play Cole. He used to play Optic, bro. He don't care.
Right,
he literally doesn't care, bro.
He's played every single amazing player in their prime because he's just been around.
Even Slacked, bro. He's even played with Slacked and against Slacked in his prime.
So like. I think we got a pretty good weekend, but Subliners versus Surge might be that's my match of the week. That's my non-optic match of the week.
I feel like that could be like another game 5 that Surge loses.
That's how I have it. That's why I feel bad. I have it as a
I feel like I probably have that too, honestly, because like when you hear that matchup, like obviously New York's like a really good team, but like they're also the team that like will go game 5 and obviously still win, but like. Dude, I literally have it. I literally have it game 5. That's so funny.
Yeah, and then Florida versus Paris on Sunday. I think Florida is gonna make a statement, a 3-0 win, just because I think Paris is just circling down the drain.
That's kind of over for them. I feel like honestly, like London will just surpass Paris at this point. Just kidding.
Unless Theory can stand up and give them the speech of a lifetime, they're gonna go. Straight down.
He's just gotta play the egg speech from when they were sitting in the lobby waiting for Sovereign, bro, and he's like, dude, they're literally just playing a 2K or whatever, and Ace is like, we're the best team in the game.
They need some kind of hype. They need some kind of
and it's like all these bitches love so.
Otherwise, I think they're gonna go 0-5 in this group and just kind of like start their downward trend.
L group.
Toronto Rocker. It's just gonna be a good game. Like that one, we already know.
Non-optic match of the week.
And then our optic match of the week: Optic versus LA Thieves.
Optic's gonna take the W, baby.
What do you think?
Obviously, you already know.
Talking about a 3-0, 3-1.
Nah, I don't even. You know what? I don't know what I have, and I'm not looking again. Optic's winning.
I got a game. I got Optic winning in game 5.
Yeah, she needs to step up. They're gonna win 250 to 137 on the hard point. They're gonna lose 6-2 on that.
I am the CDL specialist.
I am the CDL specialist.
Optic. He always has to say that Dashy and you have to always say someone from both teams needs to step up. Dashy
I just
and
can't think of anyone that needs to step it up on Thieves. They're honestly kind of playing good.
I feel like he doesn't think about it either. I feel like he just puts like whoever because like he'll be like
he's literally probably just going to like a number.
Yeah, he'll be like Shotzi needs to step up. Like, does he really? Like, you know, like he's been playing pretty okay. Like,
bro, if he ever tweets about Seattle and doesn't say Looney needs to step up, he's lying.
All
All right,
right.
that's my
Oh man,
closing statement.
I'm fine with closing on that. Thank you everybody for listening this week. We'll be
Thank you.
back with some more stuff next week.
Play Verdansk 84.
Yes, sir. All right. Take care.